Hello, I'm Robert Lindeman. My Twitter handle is MEVDev, MEVDEV, stands for Medieval Developer. I will be creating a data model for a board game called Nidavellir. It is a game where you assemble a group of dwarves. I've never actually played this game, and I'm not associated with Serge Leger or GRRRE games. A data model is the objects and a bit of the state that you would need to create a board game as an actual game. And I will be just kind of doing a speed run as if I'm going to create the game, but I'm not going to advance this into a game. I feel like this is just a way of kind of doing some exercises, and I hope you like it.
So I've had interviews where they made me write tic-tac-toe or Battleship, and I actually had a really hard interview where I wrote Battleship, and the person that was interviewing me really strongly disagreed of how I would design it. So, I'm in no way the be-all, end-all of how to do this thing. But this is kind of how I've done it. I've made some games before. This game seems like a really cool game, and I really can't wait to play it. So basically, you are, creating a group of dwarves, and it's a game for 2 to 5 players. It'll last about 45 minutes. So we'll just kind of get going right away. So I'm going to make a player class right away, and I'll also do a game board. So it looks like the player starts with basic coins. So we have to have the idea of a coin, and the coins are of different types. So there is basic, and then there's gold, and they have various values. So perhaps this is where I need to look at the actual game board. Let's look at these different things here. Okay. So we have 3 taverns. So there's an idea of a tavern as well. And this may be better to make structs. What's nice about a struct is that you know when it's mutating, and then it's also easier to serialize, and they create automatic inits. A class is good when you want to hold a reference to something outside of its normal kind of inner encapsulation, whereas if you are, exchanging a struct as a parameter, it's doing a copy, so you're actually working on a copy. So let's make a tavern. Let's call this coin type. And then maybe we might have a class of actually a coin, but then we'll do. Well, actually, the tavern, I believe there's just names. So we'll have the tavern name be a string, and then we'll set up our game. So we'll start the game. I'll just fill in some data. I don't know exactly how many cards there are or anything, but I know that it has 2 ages, and there's also the cards. So the tavern then will have cards in front of it. That would be an array of card. I might have to split this into files, as I think this will get unwieldy. But we can say that a card, we'll make this a struct right away. A card will have a type, and then card type. So there are 3 taverns: the Laughing Goblin, Dancing Dragon, and Shining Horse. We'll just instantiate this with nothing in it, because we'll have to add the card to it. But the tavern will need to have an initializer. So we'll just do this here. This could probably be a struct. We can change it over time. They're very similar. So when we start a game, we've got these. So we could say taverns. It's an array of tavern, and we can actually just define them right now. So some of this is we want to create a model so that at any moment our user interface can show exactly what's in the model, and from that standpoint, then we want the user interface to invoke various things within the game to actually kind of make it work, but only have kind of a separation, kind of the lobbed meter separation, where the concerns of various things will kind of stick with each object itself. So we are going to say this is game board will have an array of players. It also then I guess it makes sense to have an array of taverns. Not that we would have different taverns, but this would be a good thing to start with here, so then we know that this is what we're going to need. I'm actually going to just throw this in here. Oops. I'm going to show it so we don't actually see that as the name. So I'm going to take this and then move it within the game because it makes more sense to have it within the game. And then when we create a game, then we can just say game equals game board, and then you can say an array of players. So we'll figure that out in a second. But we have the taverns. So it looks like we'll have an array of taverns. We don't have to put this in, but this is basically going to be an array of taverns. And we don't have any initializers right now, so we'll say right now that this would be a good place so if there's variance to the game or something when you create the game. So we're going to just say players. We're not going to define them right now. Players. Right now, the player doesn't have anything in it. But what will the players have? Okay, the player starts with basic coins. And then the player has a board. And that's what we need to go with. Okay, so let's say there's coins, which we can represent as an array of coin, which we don't really have we haven't really created yet. Coin will have a type, coin type, and then we'll have a value. Maybe we'll say face value. I always want to watch out for various keywords. Oh yeah, all right. These actually will never change because we'll have them just be created. So a coin will have a type, which is a coin type. there is basic coins and then there's gold coins. So the gold coins are part of the Royal Treasure rack and ranked 5 to 25. And then that Royal Treasure rack is public. So we're probably going to need a Royal Treasure rack. And so, okay, so this is a cool thing. So we're going to create this initializer for the player, and we'll have a player name. Why not, huh? And then we'll put coins. But for the coins, we'll make a default value that will be the coins that you start with. Coin. So type will be basic. I'm going to type, and then value int self type equals type self value face value equals value, and there we go. So now I can get rid of this, and it looks like we have the value 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we will go ahead and create that value in this, which maybe that was confusing, but I'm going to go with it. So 1, 0, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this gives us a default value. If you were like recreating a game or trying to fix a bug where you're like, oh, we're in the middle of the game or we're trying to do something, then you'd actually want to change this to whatever coins you had at that moment. So then the games would render that. Or actually, while you're playing the game and exchanging turns, then that will be something where the UI will know exactly how to render something, and then you can have everything kind of work correctly. Okay, so we start with basic coins, and player has a board. So we have coins. Name. Let's say there's a string name. Okay, so the other things that we have that we don't know whether they're set or not. So we could say player. Where is the player? We'll do that and make it all clever here. So I'm going to put Robert and Wolfie and Iris. So I guess in this idea it'd be something where it's like we're trying to create. We haven't even run anything. Who knows whether this compiles? Okay, we do know that it does. Cannot find value in scope. So let's say this is face value. Okay, so init. Why is that init not giving us that? Okay, you know what? This is the exact same thing. So instead of realizing or working that out, I'm just going to keep on going here. So this players will be an array of player. And we already know that we have these taverns. So that gets us going here. The game board will then be able to... Is it mutable? Okay. Right, players. Okay, we just need to set the things that we don't already have set. Okay, so what are the different things that we have? Laughing Goblin, Dancing Dragon, and Shining Horse. So let's let's actually let's do a tavern type. This will give us a string we can use, and then also so we don't actually have to do any comparison. And this will output the string. We can have a nice thing where it shows like the the pretty name for this, something like where it provides the name. Oops. And then I like to have the enum values be all lowercase to have this make sense. And so on. So this is basically kind of like if I want to make these things into a nice thing. But what this will really do for us is just be able to have a type function name. Okay. I'll just fill this out since I started doing it. Why not? Okay. So dancing dragon and then shining horse. I don't know if I'm actually going to need this right away, but if I'm doing this, I might as well just make it complete. Okay, so tavern type. So now we don't have to use these. Oh, we haven't made coin yet here. Now we we don't need to use this for tavern. So let's go to our tavern type, and instead of a name, we're going to have type. So it's going to be tavern type. So type, tavern type, type, type. Okay. So, and looks like, where do we have here? Game board. Looks like we don't include the players. Moniker there. And got this. Oh, we're missing a curly brace. Okay, there we go, we got it. Okay, so we don't have. Oh, we changed this to face value here. So I could make slot be a thing, and then we could have that as something that player slot will hold have a type, which will be a tavern type, and then it'll have a coin, which will be a coin type. And we will have 3 player slots. So we do a couple different ways. Like I could maybe just have these as being just the slots, and have ones be the various types in here. But I want to be able to have the player, accurately represent the actual player type. So, slot, so player slot. I'll have this coin be there. And also have it where we don't know whether there's a coin in there right now. But there'll be a tavern type for each one of these. And actually here, you know what, we'll say slots. So bar slots, this makes more sense. We'll say player slot. And And then we can have like an accessor for, oh, we want this slot for this particular thing, and then we can see what's in it. So we say player slot, and this will be a tavern type, Laughing Goblin, coin nil, because we don't have one for it yet. We'll have those over time. But basically every player is going to have 3 slots, and it's going to be the various things. And so kind of in that idea of being able to surface things from the player, we'll want to say that we can slot for tavern type, and then coin. So then we can say self dot slots filter, and we are going to say on the type, the slot type, and then we'll know that there'll be one. And we'll have that, because you know what, there might not be a coin there. So if the UI is asking the player for it, it might just be nothing, because there might be nothing into it. Okay, so player slot is the coin. Okay, so this is perfect. So this is the slot we're getting. We're filtering it down. And then what we want is okay, yeah, so we do want the first one, and then we want coin. And coin might be nothing. So basically this gives us the slot for a tavern type. So then if we were going to ask for something for a player, like let's say we want players, let's just grab the first one, and then we'll say slot for Dancing Dragon, and then so this will be the slot for the Dancing Dragon. I just happen to grab the first one, but just kind of showing you how we'd use that accessor, and that's kind of how how we go around this. I'm just kind of basically building up real slowly. Doesn't help that I'm kind of changing what these values are, or face value, huh? But we can go around and see. Right, so first, we're not guaranteed that there's actually one that we filter down with this particular tavern type. We know that there actually is, but we're not going to care about that right now. So I want to put types in because we got rid of that in it. Alright, so where are we at? So we have a player that has a name, it has coins, it has slots. We can access the slots. And we have a game board that has players and it has taverns. And the player slots can have a coin or not. And the taverns are a type, and they can have an array of cards, because once you put them down, there'll be 4 cards down on each tavern. And then, which is basically the board, I guess, on the ground. And then these are the player slots where each tavern is on here. So that makes sense. And then, we have these gems. Let's kind of get down to these other things first. So let's look what our cards are. So a card anatomy here. So it looks like it has a class. Class is card class is gonna have to be something. Card type. We don't actually know what the card type is. I think that some will be warriors, some will not. We don't know. We'll figure that in a second. Okay, but we have like class, card class. Class is a keyword, so we don't want to use that. Card class looks like we have. We're going to say this is a string. We can make it anything we wanted, really, and then just convert between them. Case warriors, hunters, miners, blacksmiths, explorers. Anatomy of the card. Rank containing bravery points. Right. So each one of those have this. Rank containing bravery points. Oh, I see. There's another class of the hero card. So a hero card also has actions, but we can actually, we know what that is. So we can say class basic, or we can say hero. So now we know that there's two types, at least. There's actually more types. And rank containing bravery points. So a rank can also contain bravery points. And then powers of the heroic card. We can deal with powers. We probably won't deal with powers in this session here because we need to keep going and try and move through these things. So a distinction card, a class affected by this distinction effect on the card. A lot of these are basically end game points, and we could consider this a different type of thing. So I would say, having distinction card as a separate thing may be worthwhile because they don't. We wouldn't want to go through them for these ranks, I don't think. Okay, so age 1 troop evaluation. Oh, hey, we didn't get to the coolest first thing, which is the state, game state. Game state. So select players. And what's the next thing that they do? That's in the setup, right? Corresponding gems. We'll have to figure out the gems in a second. We put all those things. So that's kind of select players. We want to think about the game state being something that the UI would want to care about. The user interface needs to know, hey, in what game state am I in, and what things am I going to need to draw, and is it a particular player's turn or not? So we can think about this as the various parts or the states of the game. So we can think that there would be a drawing dwarves bit, or a phase, or step. It's like translating a German board game here. Okay, so we're drawing dwarves, and then so then we're selecting coins, or we're placing coins. So placing coins, and then I guess we reveal each one, right? So each one of these has a reveal that we're going to want to do. So we can say, we could say, revealing, or, but we could say revealing Laughing Goblin. And I don't actually know. Do these have order? Which you reveal first. I'm sure it does. But we're not going to worry about this right now because it doesn't really matter, because we don't even have a game yet. We don't even have anything, actually. But we have the idea that we're trying to create this model that will represent our game, or will represent the game being played. So if each one is revealing, then the next thing that would happen would be... Oh no, actually in each one, so this would be a little bit of a loop here. So this would be reveal dwarves. You got to think like that might be the drawing of them, the drawing of the UI. And then, so we reveal the dwarves, and then, so the drawing of the dwarves, and then placing the coins. Aha, okay, so this is our loop actually here. So drawing dwarves, placing coins, selecting dwarves. So each player will select their dwarf based on the coin that they've bid with. And this could have other steps in this, but we can determine that later. But we want to select the dwarves, and then after that, we would go back to drawing dwarves, or placing coins, actually. And then what we want to have is, so in the game state, and then we can have this where it says age, and we can say int, and we'll say the age is 0. This would be something that then you could put this in, so I could say age 0. It's just another thing that, if it's there, we'll fill it in, otherwise it doesn't really matter. So selecting dwarves, and then after you select dwarves, okay, so the resolve ties. So bid revelation, placing coins, selecting dwarves. So bid, let's use their words, bid revelation. So we would do that, and then, okay, yeah, so placing coins actually goes, so it would actually, the loop would actually be here. So bid revelation, and then trading gems. Trading gems. So we have a game state. So we're going to say game state. And then here again, game state, we're going to have a default value. Game state will then include select players. And then we'll set this. So at any time, we could basically create a game that would have this situation. So let's say if you run across a bug and then you're in the middle of a turn, you said, okay, well, right before this thing happens and in this particular situation is that you can just create that data model and then put that into your game. And then if your UI is able to just draw the state to whatever things that it can introspect, then it'll just have that. Okay, so then we do trading gems and then age of 1 troop evaluation. So troop evaluation. We're not going to get through this whole thing, but I think that we've kind of covered enough where we know, how this will actually go. I'm not actually going to put the distinction cards, but we will put the gem cards, and then I'm going to put out some other things that we can do. So what we need now, so basically, okay, so we would start the game. Oh, return, that's right. So we'd start the game and we would get all of our data ready. So the game board would also have other things that it would need, like what is this called? The Royal Treasure. So Royal Treasure is an array of coins. So in the game, so we want the defaults to just be the game as if you're going to just start this game and everything is defaulted. So this Royal Treasure, we're going to say is coin. We're going to give it a default value, coin, type, gold. I think it's like 5 to 25. Note to self, add 5 to 25 here. And then royal treasure. Royal treasure. Okay. So now this, ostensibly when we start this game, it will have all of these things filled out. So yeah, so let's introspect in a little bit of this. We figured out that. So print game dot players dot first dot name. Okay, so it's an optional, and Robert's the first game. So we're creating something, and it exists right now. We're going to go and see all the different things that this could be. So basically, oops. Oh, you can't really see those. Okay. Well, anyway, the game board will basically have all of these things that we have. We're going to kind of ignore a little bit of this other stuff. End of age turn and end of the game. So it looks like when the decks are exhausted, then you fill up another thing. Okay. So the game board, we could have something that there's a deck. So we want to have a deck, and it is a deck of cards. And we're actually going to maybe just have it like this. And then we'll have a function fill age 1 deck and fill age 2 deck. And we're going to want to fit out all of these things to be able to actually to be able to play the game as we go. So there's a deck. So this deck is going to be nothing when we start. Let's just say if game state equals select players that self.deck will, here, that will just actually fill age 1 deck. Okay. Otherwise, we could fill this in. So this is basically like if you're trying to find a certain point in the game where you're trying to make it, we could add the deck to that. But I think that this will just be good enough. So we will look for a card. We'll give this a little bit more love here too. Let's say there's a blacksmith and it's a card type basic. What are the other things that we need here? Where's the anatomy of a card? They also have a rank, and the rank can contain bravery points. And it looks like it can also have actions, powers of the hero cards. We're not going to worry about that. That's kind of splitting hairs for what we're doing. And I'm only going to spend a couple more minutes trying to do this, just because this is what I'm trying to do, is just kind of go through these things. Try and create something that something somebody can take away from and realize, hey, you know what, I could do this. This looks easy. It's just structs and classes and enums, and a lot of enums. Game design is a lot different than app design, where game design, basically, you only have one screen normally, or you have multiple screens and they all can access all of the data at the same time. So rank, ranks maybe, huh? Yeah. Okay, so we don't have a rank. It's something that doesn't exist yet. But we can do that. So it would be a struct of card rank. So so each one probably has something. Yeah. So it looks like each one. Oh yeah, royal offer card. Card type. Royal offers will be quite a different card type. So class ranks, we can say, hey, you know what? Maybe there isn't something of that, and maybe a card class. So some of the cards don't have those. This royal offer card doesn't have it. Distinction cards, I mean, yeah, they are cards, but we really only get them at one time during the game, and they don't actually sit within the actual, you know, arrays of these cards. So that's kind of a different thing. But the card rank, we'll say one is, you know, a rank. If a rank exists, it is something, and then this is bravery points. Bravery points. Let me just say card rank is bravery points right now. It looks like it's more. It looks like it actually has other things in there. So powers of the heroic card. This would be something where, you know, creating, you know, an extension to the card, or you know, letting powers be something like that. That you can just fill that in and do that. But kind of getting to more of like how would a UI interact with this then? So if we're going to think, oh yeah, we have another thing here too. Deck, okay, what do we have? Oh, ranks. What you say now for this? So there's only one card in this Age 1 deck, but ostensibly you'd have all of the cards for this deck then filled out, and then you could basically have, you know, if there's, you know, how many cards, you know, in this deck, that then kind of do that card rank, bravery points. Let's say there's, oh, bravery points, we don't know if there is one or not on there, so bravery points are actually, maybe that's not something that's there, but card rank is a thing that we can then iterate through and know. So bravery points, we're going to just say, we're going to say it's nil, because we don't have a number if it doesn't have to have a number. We're just going to say card rank on our thing. So that has a default value, so we don't actually have to have one. But then, like this card could have two ranks. Each one of, okay, what do you want here? Oh, okay. So it does want an array of ranks, which makes sense. And so we're going to give an array of one rank to then each of these. And so then you'd see, you know, it's a warrior, it's explorer, or whatever it is. So we'd have like a deck. I don't actually know how many things are in this deck, but Age 1 there's a deck, and then Age 2 there's a deck. So we could actually have a deck, you know, object. I mean, we're just going crazy creating objects. That's worthwhile. And then, so then another thing that we could do would be, you know, shuffle deck. That would be worthwhile. We would want to randomize each card within it. And then draw a card. So to draw a card would then we need to go into a tavern, right? So we'd say, so draw a card for a tavern type, and then it looks like it goes in the taverns. So we'd, pick a card, draw a card for tavern type, and we can have it return the card. It might not be a card. It might actually be the end of the deck as well. But we're going to just say that we take the first thing off of the deck. So we just have the deck. We'll just take the first one off the top, which might not be, it might not be a card. It might be nothing if the deck is out. But we could say, okay, so card equals. So we're actually going to pull the card off the deck, and then what we said is I'm going to say if let tavern, because I'm going to go into the taverns that we have, and I'm going to filter them down to the tavern that we need. The interesting thing about this is that naming is really, really, really important, and going back and getting the naming right is worthwhile. Looks like tavern type has no name. Well, that's because we don't need a tavern type. That's our variable tavern type. And then the tavern. Do the taverns hold the cards? Cards, yeah. Sounds good. Tavern, cards, append, card. So we can also say this. So if there is a card, and there is a tavern, then we can put them into there. And if there is a card and there is a tavern, return card. Else, actually here, we're going to just return to nothing, so this can return nil. So this will actually return something for that. So this is, we'll draw the card off of that. So basically, what are the other things? Oh, we totally missed over the gems here. But that's kind of like what I wanted to do. It isn't crazy. It's something where it's like we've created a game board, we have a game state, we have what age we're in, we have some players. The players hold their own name, their coins, their slots. We have initializers. We have default values for our initializers. And we have various types. And it's like the classes or structs. It's like that's something I might change over time. We have back to our game board. Inside the game board, then we have the taverns, and the taverns are of different types. One of the reasons why I want to do this and have it typed is I want to get around kind of bounds checking. So it's like, oh, if I had a tavern that's, there's I always know there's 3 of them, and then I can, call 0, 1, 2. It's just weird to call them 0, 1, 2. It's like I could almost have an accessor for taverns. So this particular thing could just go in a method, and it can be like for this tavern, then I get that, or for this particular tavern type, right? And then draw a card would have the tavern in there, and then we have the royal treasure and a deck, and these are all things that we just have that at any moment our user interface can draw the interface exactly how it should be, on every turn or whatever it is, or coming back to a game. And then furthermore, it's like I made some decisions that, I might go back on or might not make sense. But really, what it is, we're just defining these things that are, the salient part of this game. And, it kind of looks like a real fun thing. And we're coercing things. And basically, this is, we're really just trying to suss out what are the most important things for this, and why would we be doing this. So this Nidavellir seems like a really cool game, and I actually hope to someday play it, and maybe someday actually create it as well. So thank you for listening and watching, and I hope this was edifying. Thank you.